is there any like, you know, distinguishing features of the agents that survive that you think are there outside of like, you know, taking your training courses?
Yeah, the ones who train with us stick around. No, it's the ones, those of us who do what we have to do when we have to do it, and the degree to which you maintain some consistency around making contacts, building your database, building your sphere, and having more conversations. I know it's trite, but that's really what saves them. Cut expenses, be lean, and do the activities that you know you need to do. Whether it's an up market or a down market, the number of contacts that you have with potential buyers or sellers over time is what determines your success or failure.
Right.
That's pretty much it.
Right. It's like creating that number of at-bats. So I guess I heard two components there. It's like, one, even as the market shifts, like your day-to-day, what you're doing is basically the same. Now, what could change is the amount that you plow into marketing or into, you know, parts of your business that are possibly optional.
Right. So I'll give you an example, right? In 2008, when everything hit the wall and real estate tanked, there was, I don't know, there was probably 20 listings for every one buyer who could get financing and had the balls to pull the trigger on buying something, right? Depending on the market that you were in. So some dumb people like me just kept trying to be listing agents traditionally and just grinded harder, right? Had more conversations, got more no's, had more tough conversations with sellers who had to bring money to the table in order to sell their house and sell it for 30 or 40% less than they thought they were going to. And some smart people said, hey, with all these houses going into foreclosure, maybe we'll pivot and start doing REOs, right? So they pivoted, they did really well in REOs, and then that business collapsed. So, you know, you've got two choices. You can either take a look at this and say, I'm not going to be a buyer agent anymore. I'm going to be a listing agent. I'm going to save myself from the difficulty on the buyer side. I'm going to go take listings. Or you can become more professional at handling or representing buyers, right? And that's what most people that we're in contact with, that we train and clients and talk to and, collaborate with, that's what they're doing. They're just getting stronger on the buyer side. So my point is that we go through these cycles and you just keep doing more of what you're already doing, or you mix in something a little bit different, or you pivot altogether into something that makes sense or that is going on currently. But those are really kind of the choices that you have.
So when you see the people that are like getting stronger on the buyer side, is there a component there of, you know, because we already talked about like how to articulate like how much value you're bringing to the table, right?
Yeah.
But is there also a component of like sort of the marketing differentiation? You know, like I am really good, you know, serving this type of client. You know, like if you're in this situation, if you're the tech relocation guy, I'm there, or I'm the, you know, I do this type of neighborhood. You know, have you seen that kind of, you know?
No,
Okay.
I haven't. No, I haven't. I mean, I think that it's kind of a universal marketing tenet that the more dialed in and specific you can be about the market that you serve, the better messaging that you can have. I mean, you're a marketing guy, right? That's a basic marketing tenet.
Right.
No, actually, it's hard to answer this question. Let's put it this way. When fewer buyers are going to buy or have the capability to buy, when fewer sellers are going to sell or have the capability to sell or the desire to sell, then you need to talk to more buyers and more sellers to find those who are capable and willing and ready. Like that is just a universal fact. Now, when you talk about marketing, and I'm no marketing pro, but if your marketing is currently dialed in, you may actually have to add some other silos, or you may have to add some other avatars if you're super dialed in. But please don't take marketing advice from me. I am the sales conversation guy. I will tell you how to engage these people, how to overcome their objections, how to have a great conversation with as many people as possible. But when it comes to marketing, you should probably talk to somebody else.
Well, but I think that what you just said is still probably good advice. And so maybe the way I'd reframe that is it kind of depends on, here's a marketing word for you, like total addressable market, right? Like the number of buyers that are out there, right? And if that number is shrinking, then the scope of people that you serve, that you deliver value to, should be broadening, right? So you can have more of those conversations and feed your funnel. Now, if the market's expanding, and, going gangbusters, it's champagne and caviar time. Like maybe it's time to pick a niche.
Yeah, exactly. I think that makes sense. And I would agree with that because for me, if that total addressable market is getting smaller, I'm going to try to talk to as many people as I possibly can.
I think we did pretty good on this topic, but there was something else, like I'd been seeing information from title reps talking about like number of price reductions, a little bit of national news, that kind of thing. And so I just wanted to get your like one sense of what's going on out there in the market, but then also maybe feed into, having these conversations. Like it's got to be a little bit of an interesting time where it's like the given where interest rates have been for so long, and like what do we expect to happen in the market? And like how do you have that conversation with your seller that like, hey, market's tough, we're going to have to like readjust?
Yeah, it really, really depends on where you are. So I'll give you an example of where I am right now. So I'm in the Philadelphia suburbs where it's a monkey knife fight in these suburbs where if you're in a good school district, it literally it's a backyard brawl over who's going to get that house, right? And the values are insane in the city.
So nothing's changed from like 4 years ago.
Nothing has changed. It's gotten worse. The values are even higher. And it's like we are having conversations with people who say that they're going to sell their house before it ever gets to the market. And you start having conversations with the list of buyers that trying to get them in to take a look at it before it even hits the market. It's that kind of thing.
Wow.
Yeah. So in the city, 30 minutes away, downtown, not like that. Properties are sitting on the market. The values are softening. The time on market's lengthening, right? We're saying that it's lengthening from a day to like, maybe a month or month and a half. So it all depends on where you're at. And right. Because we have clients across the US and Canada, so it's hard to say what exactly is going on. But I would say that across the board, more and more markets are shifting a little bit. It's not 2 years ago, a year ago, right? It was almost unilateral in every market that the inventory was too low, prices were crazy high, and there were 1 million buyers for every house. But now, from seeing all of our clients and talking to our clients, there's some more differentiation in the market across the board.
Right. Yeah. I think the genesis of the question was, we had a couple of weeks ago been talking to Therese Bastian, who's, actually, if you go down below and you click the links and click around, you'll find that episode, or actually it'll probably be linked in the description now that I'm talking about it. But she was saying that basically the Austin market, where I'm at, is like returning to earth. Right. And it's like we were in this astronomical, like the monkey knife fight you were talking about. But now it's like things have calmed down, and I've heard sellers been like, oh my God, like it's going to take a month to sell my house. I'm like, so like a normal market,
a month, that's still a seller's market. Like,
right.
I was a listing agent when it would take like 3 to 4 months to sell your house.
Yeah. So I guess that's just good perspective. Maybe that's the answer right there. Like, hey, it's still a seller's market. It's still a great time.
It's definitely still a seller's market. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I think you were asking, what was it? How are you having those conversations?
Yeah.
And, there is a lot. It does become more difficult when you face perception that isn't matched up with reality. So you usually have to, if you run into somebody who has a very hard perspective, right? They're very committed to it. You get them to tell you all about their perspective, where they got the information and how they know that stuff. And you try to sort of run them out, right? Like you want to get it all out of them so that they reach the end of their knowledge. And then you start telling them what you know and what evidence you have. So you don't want to do that with a really hard perspective.
So to play this out, this is like, hey, I heard that it's still, like I still should get top dollar for my house. And, that's why. And so you start asking them, well, where'd you hear that? And they're like, well, like the BuzzFeed's post on Instagram. And you find out that it's like, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And, great. So what are the houses that you've seen recently sell in your neighborhood and how much did they sell for? Well, this my neighbor got X, Y, and Z. Oh, got it. Did you actually see that was what it settled for, or did you see it advertised for sale at that? Oh, right. Well, I heard from my friend, the other friend, that's what they said it sold for. Oh, got it. Okay, so you're not exactly sure what it ended up selling for. Do you know of any other neighbors that have gotten outrageous numbers for their homes in the last 3 to 6 months? So I'm doing a lot of questioning. When you run into somebody who's really hard on what they think they know, you've got to get them to tell you everything that they think they know first and how they know it, because at some point they will naturally reach the end of what they know, and to then they will be not necessarily open to additional information, but even they will question, where am I at now? Right? What's missing? It opens up a gap. You can't address somebody who thinks they know. You can't teach somebody what they think they already know. I think that's like a Stoic proverb or something.